Stugatz here. Whether you're into podcasts about ghastly crimes or hip-hop rhymes, there's always something new to discover on Spotify. With a mix of originals and many of the world's most popular shows, listening to podcasts on Spotify is easy. Just open the app, tap Browse, and dive into their growing library. Subscribe to your favorites, including our entire archive, so you'll never miss a show. You can also download podcasts for those moments when you're up in the air or going underground. Podcasts on Spotify are streaming right now. Go check them out today.
With the Citi Double Cash Card, you get 1% cash back when you buy and 1% as you pay. That's like the joy of getting 2 W's on the road or catching the home run ball without spilling your drink. Double boom. Double the love with the Citi Double Cash Card. Apply now at Citi.com/doublecash.
This is the Dan Levator Show with the Stugatz podcast.
So Stugatz is paying off a lot of debt all at once. He is now, that sound you heard was one of his candy rings falling off. He is now paying a punishment that is the Phil Jackson. He's got to wear 11 rings on his hand.
Right.
Do you have 11? It looks like 9. Is it indeed 11?
I believe I have 11 rings on my fingers right now. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a missing ring. It's okay, because in my personal record book, Phil Jackson only has 2 rings. He didn't win 6 with the Bulls because anyone could have won 6 with the Bulls. And then he just chose the Lakers because someone eventually was going to win with Kobe and Shaq. And Phil said, hey, I'll go there, and I'll win 3 with Kobe and Shaq. So take 9 away, and I should really only be wearing 2 rings.
Okay.
I'll give him the Knicks ones.
I'm not sure. Okay, because it was before your time.
Hey, he played on the team, I mean.
Thank you. That's very magnanimous of you.
Made some contributions.
In your personal record book. I'm telling you, how are we going to get this book printed? Stugatz's personal record book. We allow Stugatz to rewrite history, sports history. Because I'm telling you, there's a book there. ESPN Publishing, get on it.
And I appreciate if they do it before someone else steals the idea and does it themselves. Because
it's got to be you, though. It has to be you. You're the character for a personal record book because that's the most nonsensical thing in the world.
Right. Well, I'm talking to Teddy Bridgewater, who stole our idea for another book, and now I read that he's making major dollars off of this book.
Is he?
That's what I heard, yeah, off of our idea.
Our idea was better. Can you get me, Guillermo, would you be kind enough, please, to get me a list of some of the best characters for our Teddy Bridgewater book? Because I just want to read that to the people to remind them of, because our listeners are funny, man. And one of the things I love best about our show might be, it's right up there at the top, is how competitive our community is about creativity. And so they wrote the book for us. We didn't write the book. We were just talking about how Teddy Bridgewater, his name sounds like a teddy bear that would save a river save a town from a flood.
Right.
And so we created a bunch of characters in this kid's book, and with actual names of athletes. And I don't think we could get it published for that reason. I think all those names, we can't just traffic in names that aren't ours and sell them without copywriting.
Right.
So we might not have ever gotten the book published, but it was a good idea for a book.
It was.
And this is a good idea for a book. Stugatz's personal record book is a good idea for a book.
So I did, I know you're not going to believe me, but I actually went back, to sporting events and things that happened before I was even born. And I did some research last night. I can absolutely put this book together with the proper research and the proper help, because I'm not a writer, I'm not an author, I don't know what I'm doing, but I did some research. There is a funny idea here. So I would like someone at ESPN, maybe I should call someone.
Oh, here we go.
But someone at ESPN to reach out to me.
Wait a minute.
Preferably at around 1:15 today, and let's start flushing this out and make a book. Or I'll call someone. I don't know how this works. How does it work? Do I call someone?
I say the way that it works is write the book.
Well, really? Not just the idea? I mean, I got to write the whole thing first?
I would say that that's usually the way you are right now. You're already, can you believe what Stugatz is doing right now? Stugatz wants his name on the face of a book with the cover and the glory, but doesn't want to do any of the work other than some research he did last night about who he's got to call to do the work. That is the laziest authorship I've ever seen in my life, and it's a marvel that you are the guy who always criticizes Kevin Durant for easy paths.
Yeah.
Like, think about what just happened there in our conversation.
Yeah.
Your last contribution to this book will be thinking about it last night.
Pretty much.
You want a New York Times bestseller with your face on it that you don't contribute anything to, even though it's Stugatz's personal record book.
You're right. But really what I'm angling, I'll be honest with you, man. I'll write it. Like, listen, last night I started ranking the top 50 baseball players of all time, and I'm telling you right now, Babe Ruth's not on it.
That's going to make news. That's going to help sell the book when you have someone else do the promotional round.
I'm telling you. So I'm happy. I will write the book. I just don't know how to go about getting a book published. That's all. I don't know who I'm supposed to call, who I talk to. I'm okay researching and writing the book. I mean, does ESPN, do they have people who do this? Like
write books for people?
Ghost write books?
Write books for the famous? Yeah, usually that's something you would do with, like, Muhammad Ali, not Stugatz.
But someone I can talk to that can, maybe guide me, give me some guidance. That's all.
Yes, we have an entire publishing division.
We do?
Disney's a big company. Yes. Wow. Disney produces a good deal of content and appears to be growing.
Let's get on this.
All right.
I think this is one of those things that after it fails, we'll look at each other and say, well, of course, who would want that?
Many buzzards writing in that it's fleshing out. It's not flushing out. We'd flesh out the idea.
I thought it's flushing.
Oh, it's flesh.
I'm not having this conversation
been over this.
Again.
I thought we landed on Flushing, which is why I went there.
All right. Hold on. Speaking of Flushing, the Marlins. I want to get Rob Manfred on the line, and I want to ask him some uncomfortable questions. I want the commissioner of baseball to come on a show that's not commissioner-friendly,
right,
and answer some difficult questions. And I want pressure brought to bear on this man to answer some questions on what happened with this Giancarlo Stanton trade, because I believe that New York is benefiting, and therefore baseball is benefiting, and everyone's celebrating baseball right now, and there's a lonely voice in South Florida screaming that demands to be heard, and I think the commissioner of baseball needs to come on here and answer some questions that are not friendly. Not this safe space where we're real easy on commissioners because we have partnerships with the sports. And so I don't know how I need to do this, Mike. I need your help in doing this. I'm doing it right now publicly. I am demanding that Rob Manfred come on this radio show and quit hiding with his $1.2 billion purchase price that he's so happy about, when they treated South Florida like a brothel again after getting their taxpayer-funded stadium. They treated again like a brothel with Major League's approval, putting Jeter in office, even though they knew Jeter didn't have the money to do this. They just wanted to get the price up to $1.2 billion, and in doing so, they incurred an amount of debt that made them move the Stanton contract for that amount of debt. That was agreed to before Jeter had a plan. Jeter didn't walk in and get given a team. He had a plan, and that plan was to tell baseball exactly how he planned to run his business. So baseball signed off on this, and I want Rob Manfred to come on here and answer some difficult questions. Come on, Commissioner. Let's not hide, and let's not play politics, and let's not do this soft stuff that commissioners do. Come and defend your sport against something that it did to its customers in South Florida. Your sport doesn't deserve a fan in South Florida. Your sport is to blame for everything that's happened in South Florida with baseball interest, and you need to come and defend your sport with your face and your voice against somebody who has the facts on what happened here and saw how badly you betrayed South Florida. Come and speak on behalf of your sport, Commissioner. You need to answer some difficult questions, okay? And I don't care who at this company gets mad at me because I'm going after a commissioner of a corporate partner. This commissioner needs to come on here, and he needs to answer some questions, and needs to answer some questions about the facts of what happened here. Not on one of these friendly platforms. Come and do a difficult interview, Manfred, because what you guys did here, you don't deserve the customers that you have in South Florida. What few you have remaining, you don't deserve them because you betrayed them too many times using South Florida as a brothel.
Don Le Batard.
How would we flesh out a little bit the first question?
Let's flush.
Is it flush or flesh?
It's flushing out.
Roy, I think you're wrong.
It's flush.
It's
Roy.
Stugatz.
Roy, you could have risen up here and just taken Mike's job forever, and you are doing nothing but going up there, not just merely swinging and missing. You're going up to the batter's box with no bat.
Sorry to disappoint you, Dan.
Your Wally poop! This is the Dan Lebatar Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Oh, wow. So it's being reported now. Is it finalized? Did the government approve it? Is it done? Disney is getting Fox's 22 regional sports networks, Yes Network, Prime Ticket, Fox Sports West. The government still needs to approve this kind of purchase, right? It's too big a purchase.
Yeah, typically all things have to be approved by the government when they're this large.
Good
but they've announced it.
Well, so now where do
deal.
all those people go who have been saying ESPN is dead? Like, where do those people go now that ESPN has bought all of sports?
I think they're hanging out with Art Briles.
Skip Bayless and Colin Cowherd
Art Briles.
They're the only ones who aren't going to get picked up as part of this deal. Whitlock, they're floating on an island of rebellion?
Yep. Have fun.
Oh, come on.
Well, I didn't say it. No.
Come on.
Those two in particular have taken so many shots.
I like both of those guys.
And that's fine. You're entitled to like whoever you want to like, and I'm entitled to dislike whoever I want to dislike. But they have taken so many shots at this show and at this network, and I'm tired of it.
They have not taken shots at this show.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
First of all,
Trust me,
Bayless has never said anything about our show.
Oh, not Bayless.
And Whitlock and Cowherd, they have not taken any shots at our show.
In my personal record book, they have. And it's not even my personal record book. I heard it one day. They're taking a shot at me because I said something about them, and then they called me your caddy, and give me a break. Jason Whitlock. You know what I did? I unfollowed him on Twitter. I stuck it to him.
Wow.
I mean, one less follower for you.
Yeah.
Got him. A coward.
Got it. That should be your signature phrase when you arrive as a superhero to unfollow someone. It's not much of a superhero power, but you come in and you hit them with the unfollow, and then it's like, gotcha.
Gotcha!
You waggle your fingers covered with candy rings in front of the people. Okay, well, somebody help me understand this. I am not a business mind. I think Disney just bought sports. I think that's what just happened. That Disney just bought the ability for live sports programming. And look, here's one of the dirty little secrets about ESPN. I don't know how many people really know or understand this. But for all of you who hate ESPN or hate the narrative around ESPN or whatever you think ESPN is liberal leaning, ESPN's giant traffic comes from live sporting events. You remember one year down here, we in Miami, they were talking about gambling coming to South Florida, casino gambling coming to South Florida, making it like Las Vegas.
Right.
And Mickey Arison, the Miami Heat's owner, was fighting that. And I remember making the argument, oh, of course, Mickey Arison doesn't want to lose the gambling on his ships to gambling on land. And I was then informed after that by people who knew better than I. No, that's not it. The gambling on our ships is like nothing. It's not even 1% of all of the money that we make. And you see how that's comparable here? That our show, highly questionable, they could put anything they want on at 4:30. The thing that people come to ESPN for is the live sports programming. That's what brings the giant crowds. Even PTI, a wild success, has 1 million viewers for a game. The games all get more than that. The games you're gambling on, everything on ESPN, the games are the thing that are Netflix proof. The games are the thing that in the future are, you don't TiVo through them. Technology's not going to get rid of the games. You want the games live, and you want them when everyone else is talking about them. You don't want them later. You don't want them when you're watching Game of Thrones. It's kind of like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, everyone feels now like they have to be in front of the television the moment it starts. They don't want to wait. They don't want to binge it.
Well, so first off, you want to watch it live because you want to watch it live. And secondly, it's impossible in this day and age, or nearly impossible, to not get the score from somewhere, from someone, somewhere, somehow.
But what I'm telling you is, while I don't know anything about business, I need you to understand that if this transaction becomes official, ESPN has just bought sports television. All of it. All of it that matters. They're letting whatever's left on the Bayless stuff, on the Colin Cowherd stuff, that stuff doesn't make money for them. I don't think it's vindictive. I don't know. I'm guessing those aren't money makers. They just excluded those from the business profit transaction.
Not all of it. Remember, CBS Sports Network has San Jose State Pacific every night, forever, 24/7.
They do.
So Les Moonves is still hanging on to his little bit of sports.
Yeah. In between, there's a halftime show hosted by Adam Shine, and then the postgame show hosted by Adam Shine.
Well, I don't mean to turn this into an ESPN gloat, but I'm actually wondering this news when you hear that a $52 billion purchase has been made and ESPN has bought the games. How are you going to attack ESPN's business model from there? You could say that you don't like my politics, on one of their million networks in one time slot on AM radio.
If you want to watch the games, you have to go to ESPN.
Can't. No, now you can't get away from us.
You have to go to ESPN. That's my point.
If you want to consume sports in real time, ESPN is going to be the only place in America, other than Les Moonves, where you can get sports.
Right. I mean, outside of the major networks as well, who, CBS covering the Masters or something like that. Right.
Well, let's get real. This is all very exciting for sports and people in sports and people here at ESPN. But let's be real. This is about Wolverine joining the Avengers. Am I right?
Oh, you're damn right.
Yeah, Wolverine is joining the Avengers. X-Men versus Avengers. That's what this deal's about.
Is it?
Let's do it, Marvel.
Yeah, man.
Let's do it. Moonves, what did you say?
Marvel, yeah. This is awesome. I don't know how Deadpool's going to work PG, but all right, we'll make it happen.
Demand once more money.
What does all this mean for me?
Well, that's a good question. Does that mean that all those Bayless and commercials and Cowherd commercials that are running on all your regional programming are going to now become about Stugatz?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, you were just asking.
I don't know what that means. I wasn't giving you those commercials.
Oh.
If you get the regional networks, then I guess when Dion Waiters goes to the free throw line, which is never anymore, you'll see a promo for Stugatz and Dan Le Batard.
Nice.
Wait a minute. You're just making that up, though. We don't know that that's...
It seems like Mike is speaking out of...
It sounds like that promo will go to Wingo and Golick. It's what it sounds like.
That hurts.
Or no, it's going to go to
our market.
No, it's going to go to Stephen A. and Max.
Oh, that
It's going to go to Stephen A. and Max.
Oh man, yeah. They're all going to go to Stephen A. in every market.
Well, how about this one? Explain this one to me. In fact, we should go to war with the company, even though now they run sports. Yeah, we have
odd time.
Highly Questionable has as many viewers as First Take. Why is First Take getting all the run?
Ooh.
Why is First Take getting all the run?
Good question.
Why isn't Highly Questionable getting any of that promotion? We got just as many viewers as First Take.
Right.
The dirty secret is that neither one of us has that many. But regardless, it's just as many.
On your point about ESPN now owning sports, this is courtesy of the Sports Business Daily. Disney is acquiring Fox's regional sports networks. 44 out of 81 Major League Baseball, NBA, and NHL teams are on those networks.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you guys, how many people do you guys think watch First Take? What do you think that number is?
17 million?
New deal at 1-800-Flowers, right on time for the holidays.
Was that low?
Tell them about it, Stu guys.
That means you must have a heck of an audience. Congratulations to you and Poppy, man. Ooh. If you have more than they do, right, you said?
No, the same amount.
Oh, wow, 17 million for you, too. It's amazing.
Dan Le Batard.
What did I just hear you saying about CPR? CRP? What was it? What was that acronym? That hideous thing that I don't want anywhere near the show?
CSR.
What is that?
Corporate Social Responsibility.
Oh, bleep off.
Stugatz.
Like, what is that? Man, why'd you hire me?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Stugatz is paying a grid of death punishment. He's got to wear the Phil Jackson rings. They're all candy rings over his every finger. How has it been easier than you thought, harder than you thought, about what you thought?
Harder than I thought. They don't fit around my thumbs, so I had to double up on a couple of fingers here because I have fat fingers. Yeah, it's hard. I can't really type. I can't do some of the things I need to do in order to do this show the way I want to do the show. So it's kind of like being in a straitjacket, which I did earlier this week.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is what you did earlier this week.
Tired of this.
Mike last night got 15 seconds of bidet water from my bidet in his face. That's video. That's on at Levitard Show if you want to see it. Mike Ryan had to pay a grid of death punishment, got 15 seconds, and I was so disoriented that I forgot to give him a towel when he was done. Like, I just sort of walked out of the room laughing.
Right.
And Mike was too polite to use any of my towels. I thought he would just grab one of the towels that were there, one of the clean towels. I only use my towels once.
Right. I mean, Mike knows where the towels are. You put them away.
Whatever. I use a towel. I wear, like, clothes the way that Dwayne Wade and Russell Westbrook do. Every time I have a towel, I use it once, and then it gets put in the garbage disposal. Never to touch a body again.
Am I doing another one tomorrow?
Yeah, you're dressing like Pilot.
Oh, God.
He's in a toga. He's got to wear a laurel wreath.
That's easy.
Oh, a pilot?
No, it's called the Pompous Pilot instead of Pontius Pilot. So he's going to be in a toga. Got to wear a wreath on his head.
Okay,
right.
Very good.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Here's your SportsCenter update. Aaron Rodgers on his comeback says, hopefully, it gives a lift to some of the guys, but I'm not coming back to save this team. Funny. That's cute, Aaron. That's cute, Aaron. Cute, Aaron, you, Aaron.
It's probably better for your long-term future if you don't, though.
Yeah, probably better if you let those bums, that army of schlubs, get fired without you.
The Marlins have traded outfielder Marcell Ozuna to the Cardinals for prospects. And finally, in a recent interview with MSNBC's headliner show, George Clooney's longtime friend, Randy Gerber, revealed that Clooney once gifted his closest friends $1 million each and paid their taxes on the funds. There's a group of guys we call the boys, Gerber explained. George had called me and the boys and said, hey, mark September 27th, 2013 on your calendar. Everyone's going to come to my house for dinner. When the boys arrived at Clooney's place, black designer luggage bags were set on the table for each guest. George told the group, listen, I want you guys to know how much you've meant to me. I came to L.A. I slept on your couches. I'm so fortunate in my life to have all of you, and I couldn't be where I am today without you. So it was really important to me that while we're still all here together, that I give back. So I want you to all open your suitcases. When the boys opened up their custom cases, $1 million worth of $20 bills awaited them. Every one of us, 14 of us, got $1 million. Every single one of us, Gerber recounted. We were in shock. Like, what is this?
That's pretty cool.
That is so awesome, man.
Right?
They paid the taxes on it, too. It's so cool. No matter what your budget is, take the JCPenney Holiday Challenge and find surprising gifts at even more surprising prices. Save on toys, apparel, and name brand gifts your family will absolutely love. Come into the store or go to jcp.com and get everything on your list for less than you think. JCPenney. For all the latest headlines and information, tune to the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
It's really hard to find anything negative about that story, right? No matter what your cynicism is, no matter how cynical you can be about things, you can't. That you read that story and you're like, well, yeah, maybe you get mad at him because he can be so flippant with money and he has so much of it that he can do that. But it's hard to find criticism with that story, right?
I mean, it'd be even for me. Like, I could find criticism in anything,
right,
but how can I criticize that? I mean, people who helped him out along the way, and he gave back to those people. That is really cool.
To be able to do it, that had to be fun for him to do in real time, just like to do the mechanics of let's go do this in a suitcase with 20s and like just have them walk into the room and you know what's in there and they don't know what's in there.
Yeah, is that giving you any ideas? Or, I mean, you got 70 million viewers on HQ. I'm thinking, yeah.
Well, this is one of the things that I wanted to discuss with you and the audience because
I wasn't talking specifically me. I was thinking the shipping container. I was thinking me. I was thinking me. All me. No one else.
I've done that in various forms for the shipping container.
Oh, I'm still waiting.
So I'm curious about this because this is something Stu and I were talking about during the break and sort of giggling with laughter because many of you know, look, there are a lot of people like me at ESPN, gas bags, know-it-alls with opinions. There aren't a lot of people like Stu Gatz on this show, at this network, and there aren't a lot of people like the shipping container at this network with roles on air like this. So what ends up happening, Mike, and it's funny to me that this happens, is you get from Stu Gatz in the last segment, just no matter what we're talking about, Stu Gatz is always looking out for how does it serve him, which is somehow within him deeply unlikable and deeply likable at the same time. It's weird, the brazenness of it, the transparency of it. Like, so we're talking about Disney buying Fox, and Stu Gatz's only question is, what does this do for me?
Yeah.
And so now that's what I wanted to get to. The secret sauce of the show is not just Stu Gatz. The secret sauce of the show is that Stu Gatz is 44 bleeping years old, and we still look at him like the mischievous 9-year-old. I know you're bad. You know you're bad. It's okay that you're bad. We like you anyway. And Stu Gatz asked me during the break, do you think I'll be able to pull it off at 70? The mischievous 10-year-old. I'm like, do you think I could keep it going for 26 more years? The mischievous 10-year-old who's deeply unlikable and yet somehow deeply likable. And it's a magic trick that he's pulled off 34 years longer than I thought anyone would be able to pull it off. And so he's asking me, do I have another run like that in me?
After this run is over at the age of 70, yes. Do I have another 10-year run in me, maybe? Yeah. Can I stretch this thing out maybe till I'm 80?
I asked the question legitimately, though. How long does Stu Gatz get to be the mischievous 10-year-old? Because all he is the mischievous 10-year-old around something. He's now sucking on the candy pops. Just go to commercial.
Yummy. Don Le Batard.
Is Stu Gatz shady? I mean, that one's going to come back 100%.
Yeah, I have. Thanks, Dad.
Stu Gatz.
I just don't understand how you object to the idea that, like, it's kind of amazing. Like, I don't understand how you would even object to the idea of anybody in the world calling you shady.
Listen, I know I'm shady. I know what I am, okay? I'm more self-aware than you think. I am shady. I'm one of the shadiest people out there.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stu Gatz on ESPN Radio.
I wanted to ask you guys something because, you guys are down generally on when I start talking about the violence of football, even though all I like to do around here really as it relates to some of this stuff is humanize people, find connection points, and make you understand that the athlete's pain sometimes is human. And when it comes to Ryan Shazier, we all kind of felt that one a little bit, right? Like watching that, the reason that Monday Night Football game was so disturbing is because we saw him grabbing at his spine, and we don't know what is happening right now in the darkness with Ryan Shazier, but I kind of feel like we should see it. We should see what's happening in the darkness with Ryan Shazier. We should see when Zach Miller is fighting for his leg in the hospital. Yes. We should sort of be forced to see it so that it reaches us the same way that Shazier reaches us when he's on the field grabbing at his back, and everyone watching is disturbed and disgusted because they don't know if they just saw live on television a man get paralyzed.
You want them to see what happens after that moment when we're all feeling the same thing. So what's the reasoning for it? So people understand exactly how violent the sport is?
I have read so that you have to understand that the athletes are human beings and that they feel pain, and what that pain, you have to find connection points with your customers in terms of humanizing the people who are wearing helmets. You don't see many of their faces. Hell, I'm a sports expert, allegedly, loosely defined, and I don't know what Case Keenum's face looks like because these aren't human beings. They're uniforms and their numbers, and maybe in their towns they get to be human beings because they know their personalities, but on television they're not human beings. They're pieces moving around the field.
Now, Zach Miller, who almost lost a leg playing football, he was very candid. He gave an interview after he went through everything and told you what was going on.
But what I'm saying,
you want people to see. Now, there has to be an agreement on the other side of this from Zach Miller, right, and Ryan Shazier, but you want people to see it while they're in it.
I think that for the points of this argument, I'm not talking about a reality show, Stu Gatz. For the points of this argument, when you guys are always yelling at me because I'm lamenting the violence of football, I think you would yell at me less if I made you look at some of these uncomfortable truths. If you, instead of reading those words by Zach Miller's the one who made me think about it. When I started reading the words, did you read anything by Larry Johnson? And Larry Johnson in the Washington Post gave you an understanding of what it's like to live with CTE in a way that not even Junior Seau did, where he is telling you in real time, man, I'm always thinking about killing myself. I'm paranoid. I'm crazy. And I don't recognize myself. And I know that's because of the damage football did. The thing that made me think about this entire conversation was reading about the Zach Miller details and being like, I had no idea. Mike, give us some of that information. Give us a good Jason Taylor story back there. Jason Taylor, we all reacted to the shock of Hall of Famer Jason Taylor telling some stories about things that he had to do with catheters. He's got like a wire running to his heart, and it's in through his armpit, and he's trying to conceal it and getting all sorts of doctor approvals to end up playing. Like he's trying to fall asleep and he can't get to sleep at night and he almost loses his leg in the middle of the night. Like, just let's listen to Jason Taylor in his own words.
It's 11 o'clock at night and I'm trying to go to bed. Took a painkiller before I went to bed. Took a sleeping pill that I was prescribed for. I'm laying in bed and it's just bad. It's just hurting. I'm sweating. It's bad. So it's now 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm standing on the steps. And I'm realizing if I'm standing on the steps, it doesn't hurt at all. Like it feels fine. Well, I end up falling asleep standing on the steps because it would take the pain away. But then as soon as I would relax my leg, the pain would wake me up instantly. So finally at 2:45 in the morning, I mean, I'm talking about tears and sweating and just crazy pain. I called the trainer. 2:45, he answers the phone and he knew when my phone call was coming that it had to be something. And he goes, JT, what's up? And I said, dude, my leg. And he just said, oh, crap. He's like, all right, we got to go to the hospital. I was like, no, dude, I'm fine. I'm just asking, can I take another Vicodin? He's like, no, we got to go. So anyway, we go to the hospital. They do a test. And I guess your blood pressure test down there is supposed to be in the 25 to 35 range. And I could be off medically, but that's in that range for the numbers. They do a test and it comes back over 100. And everyone in the room's face kind of changes. And they said, no, it had to be a bad test kit. Let's get another one. So they do it again. They rig this thing up again. They do it again. And it's 120. So anyway, they say, well, we have to do surgery. And I'm like, hold on, it's 3 a.m. I got to call my wife. Like, let me call my agent. What? And they're like, I said, I want to talk to Dr. Andrews. So they get Andrews on the phone and he said, they gave him the results of the testing that they did. And he said, yeah, you've got to get surgery. I said, okay, you're the best surgeon in the country. I'll see you in a couple of hours for surgery. And he said, okay, that's fine. You can fly down here right now. You'll be here in 2 hours to get surgery. But if you do that, when you get here, I'll have to cut your leg off. And I kind of like, yeah, right, whatever. And he goes, no, Jason, I'm dead serious. You need to get off the phone, lay down, and let them do the surgery right now, or you're going to lose your leg.
It forces you to look at it.
Yes.
And that dude won Defensive Player of the Year. He needed epidural shots. He couldn't practice during the week, couldn't do anything. His back was in such bad shape that he fell while getting the epidural shots in the parking lot, curled up in the worst pain that he's known. And I just think if we had to hear it like that with a human voice on it, where you're like, he said that very matter-of-factly, and furthermore, went well out of his way to say, look, I'm not complaining about football. I chose this. This is not whining. This is not bitching. This is just me telling you what football is. He said it very matter-of-factly.
Jason Taylor is one of those guys, and most of them give us the same answer. Yep, do it all over again.
Would do it all over again. So, and he wants to make sure that you understand that he's not disrespecting football. He does not mean to be complaining about anything. It's just matter-of-fact. And so, if we had to take a look at what Zach Miller was actually going through in real time, I do think it would reach us in many of the same ways that the Shazier thing did, Stugatz.
Oh, I have no doubt. But what would, from there, once people, like, what happens? Are people going to stop watching it? They're going to turn it off?
You
have a better understanding of what it is they're
watching? You'd have more appreciation and understanding of what it is that you're watching. You'd have more understanding and appreciation of the warriors who do it for a living and the inhumane superhero lengths they have to do it that none of us would ever do with any kind of conviction. Yeah, like I think if we understand, I think we have no idea. No matter how much we think we know, I think we have no idea of the number of things conspiring to make these people hurt like this.
Right. I mean, we'll never, even if you had someone who is talking the way Jason Taylor just did and bringing you closer to it, you'd never really have a full understanding, but you'd be closer. and you might have a better recognition for what it is these guys are doing and for the people themselves.
Maybe we'll get some of that information as we rank quarterbacks with someone who almost died on the field and lost his spleen next.